Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this video. We just wanted to say welcome. My name is Ben. I'm a counselor at St. Thomas More Catholic High School, and this presentation for you is our junior parent college night, so to speak. In the past, we've done this presentation live, but we thought it would be a good idea this year to just send it out as a recording so that you guys can have access to this video if you wanted to go back and watch it again, or just to save for future reference. So yeah, welcome. My name is Ben Mouton. I am a counselor at St. Thomas More High School. I serve alongside Miss Elizabeth Sandridge, particularly as she's on maternity leave right now, assisting with college admissions and all things college. So yeah, Miss Sandridge is incredibly helpful to our students, and she's built an awesome program for them. And so yeah, I'm just kind of picking up some of the slack while she is on maternity leave, taking care of her sweet new baby, Exie. She'll be back around January to, yeah, be back to work with us. So this presentation is going to focus on a few things. It's going to focus on college fit, college admissions, so like when that process begins, some important terms that you might want to know going into the college admissions process, dates and deadlines that you might want to look forward to or just have in mind, and then like where to start because it can feel very, very overwhelming. The college admissions process is different today than it was several years ago, and it's always changing. And so part of our job is staying up to date with all of those updates and changes so that we can provide you guys with the best and most up-to-date information and help you feel prepared. So, yeah, the goal of this presentation, just before we get started, is definitely not to overwhelm, but to provide clarity to you guys because there's a lot of things, as I just said, that can be very confusing. And so, yeah, we just wanted to make, again, this brief presentation to provide some clarity to you all, to help you feel prepared and to kind of take a proactive approach to the college admissions process so that you don't feel like you get hit in the face whenever it comes around in full swing in senior year for your students. So, let's go ahead and get started. What students are looking for whenever they're beginning their college application search or their college search in the application process. So there's sort of kind of three categories that we've determined are best to kind of consider whenever a student is looking for a college. This is what we encourage our students to look at: academic fit, social fit, and then financial fit. So first and foremost, academic fit, that's going to be like, what is the school's average GPA? What is their average ACT score? Like, does their rigor match my aptitude for academics? Does the school offer a program that I'm interested in? Like, if I'm really interested in nursing and the school doesn't offer a nursing program, that might not be a good fit for me, obviously. So, yeah, just encouraging our students, encouraging them to like make sure that the school that like we want to go to like kind of matches with our academic fit. Social fit, that's actually really, really important as well. So do they want to go to a big school? Do they want to go to a small school? Do they want that school to be in a big city or more rural? Um, what kind of people are at the school? Is it in-state? Is it out of state? Is it a private school? Is it a public school? So all of these things are important to keep in mind as as students look at yeah, just what college is a good fit for them. And then finally, financial fit. So obviously, as parents, that's gonna be important for y'all, definitely, in most cases. Yeah, so like, is the school within my family's price range? What kinds of scholarships are available to me? If it's an in-state school, how much is TOPS going to cover of that school, tuition and fees? Um, are there loans and grants available as well? Work study, like, is there an opportunity for me to work at this school, have an on-campus job that kind of knocks off some tuition or just supplements our income as a family that helps afford that school? If it's a private school, like, is it worth that, large invoice for tuition to go to Tulane, for example? And the answer might be yes, and it also might be no. And so just kind of like beginning that open conversation with your students in terms of fit, academic, social, and financial, are going to be important and helpful. And that's something that we've seen too, like families that have open lines of communication between the students' desires, and also like the parents' expectations. Um, just having that communication up front is helpful. So just keep that in mind. College fit. And so, yeah, it's not a one size fits all thing. And so this is what we encourage our students to look at. So just as a student decides, of course, what school they want to attend, and if it's a good fit for them, what do colleges use to make an admissions decision? So this is something that I think is really, really important for parents to know, as well as students, obviously. But yeah, there are a lot of things that colleges look at. And so we're going to kind of go through some of those just so you guys are aware. So first and foremost, above everything else, is going to be academics, right? Even if a school says that they offer holistic review, which many schools do, that does not negate the fact that their academics, the students' academics, is going to be like the primary factor, the first factor that is like looked at. So course rigor, that's going to refer to like the degree of difficulty of courses that the student took in high school. So were they in honors? Were they in AP? Were they in dual enrollment? If they were, how many of those classes did they take? If they're applying to like a biology program at a school, did they take the biology that their school offered in high school? Those are the kinds of things that colleges are going to look at whenever we see course rigor. Grade trends. So that is going to refer to, yeah, like a student freshman year to a student, that same student junior year. Did their GPA fluctuate? Did it start out really great? And then as high school got progressively more challenging, did it decline? That would be like a negative grade trend. Did it stay the same? Did they stay a 3.5 student all throughout freshman, sophomore, and junior year? Or was freshman year really tough for them and they were adjusting to high school and they were adjusting to that new like way of learning? And sophomore year was better and junior year was even better. That would be a positive grade trend. So that's what we mean whenever we say grade trends. Weighted versus unweighted GPA. So that's going to kind of translate to TOPS versus admissions GPA in most cases. Weighted GPA refers to your core classes, your students' core classes, and unweighted GPA refers to all of a student's classes combined. Okay. Yeah, and then just overall performance, test scores, that self-reported academic record. Some schools require that. That's just inputting your courses that you've taken in high school manually. So like all of those things sort of make up like that portion that colleges look for. Important note here under test scores, something that you're going to see is test optional. So becoming increasingly popular is the ability for students to go test optional for a school, which basically just means, hey, I want you to only look at my GPA and academic performance. I don't want you to look at my ACT scores or my SAT scores. So, yeah, that's becoming increasingly popular in schools. Some students don't test well, they get anxious or whatever it is, and so they don't perform um, well on their ACT or as well as maybe they might. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind too. Going test optional, this is a question that we get a lot. Going test optional does not disparage your chance of getting into a school. Um, it doesn't hurt your chances of getting into a school. Like it's not like, oh, this person went test optional, so they must not be a good test taker. That's not what they look at. They just look at you with your test scores. If you wanted to um, offer those to the college university, and then they offer them, and then they look at you if you didn't offer them. Like it's not a disparaging factor whatsoever. So academic achievements, that's going to be that primary, as I said, main thing that schools look at. Your activity list. So this is important for many schools as well. On the Common App, there's a section that gives you 10 blanks basically to write and describe all of the activities, extracurriculars, leadership roles, volunteer service stuff that you have been involved in as a student, right? Colleges look at that. Um, they really do. They want to see what kind of person you are outside of your academics. So yeah, particularly looking for those leadership positions, looking for commitment to certain sports even. Yeah, all of those things are important for colleges whenever they're looking at letting students in. Letters of recommendation. Some schools require, some don't. It's different for each and every one. The counseling department is able to write a letter of rec on behalf of the student, but some schools require like a teacher specific recommendation letter. And so, yeah, that is an opportunity for the schools to look at um, someone else's perspective of this student. And we walk with the student through that process of like, hey, who would be a good teacher to write a rec letter for you? Personal statement. This is the part of the college application where the student really gets to show their voice and explain, yeah, like what their desires are, what's a challenge in their life that they overcame, how they grew from it, that personal perspective. And it's one of the only parts in the college application where a student is able to kind of portray that personal perspective. And then some schools even require short answer questions as well. Um, like they'll ask, yeah, like why us? Why did you look into Tulane? Why did you look into Loyola? Like they want to know specifically why a student is interested in that school. Whenever you apply to college, it's not like you have to guess what schools require what. They give you stipulations about what their specific school is requesting. So don't stress about that, but just showing you kind of like all of the pieces that make up what a college university will look at whenever they're looking at your student's application. And then finally, most schools do require an application fee for admission. Okay, moving forward, holistic review explain. This is a great little pie chart to kind of show, as I stated on the right, you're going to see academic achievements. That's going to make up 50% basically of what a school is looking for. The other three portions of the pie chart, that activity list, that letter of rec, and that writing portion, or those writing portions. So just to kind of show you all, this is a very helpful little pie chart to see. Okay, let's move into some terms to know briefly so that you feel up to date with all the lingo. So holistic review, we just talked about that. Weighted versus unweighted GPA. So whenever you're asking your student, hey, what level of TOPS do you qualify for, or do you qualify for? You have a weighted GPA. That's going to be all of your core classes. So that's your English, your science, your math, your social studies, your two foreign languages, a PE, and an art. I think I hit them all. That's going to be your weighted GPA. Your unweighted GPA is all of that plus your elective courses. Um, Letters of rec, as we said, that's going to be some are written by the counseling department, which makes it easier on the student, but some are requested of teachers as well. And then test optional, I described that. That's the opportunity a student has to apply to a college without submitting their test scores. It doesn't disparage their chances of getting in. It just is a different type of application. FAFSA, Federal Application for Student Aid. This is the application that you complete with your student their senior year that qualifies them for TOPS or for any kind of state or federal funding grants that they're going to get, primarily TOPS. Um, so the FAFSA is, they've made it progressively more easy to complete and fill out as the years have gone. Um, but it is an application for sure. Like it takes a while. You got to input your tax information from past years. You got to do all kinds of personal information stuff. So it takes a little bit, but that is the application that you use to qualify for TOPS as well as other grants or loan opportunities. And then SCORE. This is the system that St. Thomas More uses to help our students stay on top of their college application process. SCORE is really, really great. It's really helpful. It allows us to see where students have applied. It allows us to send documents to schools on their behalf. It helps the students stay organized. It helps the parents stay organized and keep up to date with the college admissions process. So yeah, people sometimes call it Squire. It's score. It's helpful. It's great, and we love it. Um, so kind of scooting over a little bit to the right of the presentation, most of our students end up applying to either UL or LSU or both as part of their pool of applications. So we just like to throw this out there. LSU has become increasingly more competitive. So the typical freshman this past year for LSU had a GPA of a 3.5 to a 4.1, which is about a 3.8 average. Their ACT score was an average of a 25 to a 31, which averages about a 28. Um, and over 90% of the students that got in to LSU were in the top 50% of their high school class. So we're just throwing that out there for you guys to know on the front end. It's becoming increasingly more competitive to get into LSU. UL, there's some criteria for guaranteed admissions. So an 18 on the ACT in English and a 19 in math, or if you don't reach that, a 3.0 overall high school GPA. Um, and then you can move on to 2 and 3, so that'd be a 2.0 cumulative GPA and then a 2.5 or 23 ACT composite. So all of those things are, excuse me, potential pathways for guaranteed admission into the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. And then LSUE and SLCC admissions are open enrollment, which just means you have a high school transcript and a few other docs, and you are good to go. So those are some keywords that are helpful to know kind of going into the process. Feeling overwhelmed yet? This is how we feel around application deadline time in the counseling department, and this is probably how some parents feel seeing this presentation. Yeah, it can be a lot, but again, the goal is clarity, not to overwhelm you guys. So where do you start? Where do we start with all of this information, all these processes? So here's a little timeline that we like to offer to you guys. Spring of junior year, junior college counseling conferences. So that's going to start after we get back from break, so in January. This is a really, really awesome opportunity that the counseling department is happy to provide to you and to your family. It is basically an opportunity for families to sign up for a junior college counseling conference with one of the two college counselors, myself or Miss Sandridge, and we give you a specific to your student walkthrough of the process. So you have to fill out a little survey beforehand and complete some information so that we can kind of prep for the meeting. But we basically go through a personalized approach of what your college application process is going to look like. So that's going to be offered to you guys coming up soon. I'm going to be sending out some information on that shortly after this video is sent out. And then also in that time, it's a great time of year to start visiting colleges and universities. So if you're a student interested in Auburn, go visit Auburn. If they're interested in Bama, Mississippi, whatever, go visit. If they're interested in LSU, UL, go visit. Great time to do that. As a junior, students have one excused absence for college visits, and as a senior, three excused absences. So the summer between their junior and senior year, so this upcoming summer for your junior student, keep on visiting colleges and universities. Attend a writing workshop. Miss Sandridge and myself host workshops where it's basically a head start to the college application process. And we try to knock out as best as we can some of those longer, more difficult, arduous tasks, like the activity list, like the short answer question, some of those things that typically trip up students. So before summer, we're going to send out information about how to sign up for that. They're free to your student. And everyone that comes to those is super grateful that they did because it gives them a huge head start their senior year and it frees up a lot of their time. So those are going to be offered in the summer. And then fall of senior year, so that's the time frame that we are in right now with our current seniors at STM. You're going to be completing and submitting applications. You're going to be looking into scholarships that might be available to your student, applying for those, attending on-campus programs. So at this time of year, some students, like for example, I just had a student come in and ask the process. They got invited to the LSU top of their class day where they get to go to campus early, visit with programs that they're interested in applying to. That's an example of an on-campus program. And then attend the senior parent college night, which is going to be offered um, this time of year for you guys next year. So that is kind of like the vaguer breakdown. Important dates to know. On the right, you'll see August 1st, most college applications open. October 1st, the FAFSA opens. November 1st, this is the first big deadline, so to speak, for schools' priority deadlines, or early action deadlines. Getting your application in before this date ensures to the best of their ability that your student will get a decision sooner rather than later, is the best way to explain that. And then December 15th, that's going to be LSU's priority deadline. May 1st is National University Commitment Day. So just to kind of offer these dates to you guys to have, hopefully this kind of helps put into perspective like what that senior year timeline will look like. This process has to be student driven. I'm gonna say it again. This process has to be student driven. So universities really do frown upon parents reaching out on their students' behalf, in the vast majority of situations. So of course there's going to be some, forgiveness offered here if a parent is helping a student with, something that maybe a student can't do on their own. But by by large and far, whatever the expression is, um, it is important for the student to be the one in the driver's seat. Uh, it's going to help them in their life and it's going to help them in the process. So yeah, support your student, help them stay organized, help them, remind them about dates and stuff, but do not do it for them because it'll end up hurting them in the long run. Give them the opportunity to do it on their own. So conversations to have at home. Kind of shifting gears just a little bit about, yeah, the stress that students feel through this process. It can be a stressful process all around, but kind of keeping in mind the student's perspective here, it can certainly be um, unhelpful for a student to just hear over and over again, what are you going to major in? Where do you want to go to school? What scholarships have you applied for? What do you want to do? Those questions can feel very, very big for high school students. So, like a really great twist on maybe that first question, for example, instead of what will you major in, asking your student, hey, like what classes are you enjoying the most right now? What classes like are you not enjoying? What kind of campus interests you? Are you liking maybe thinking of a bigger campus, a smaller campus? Do you want to stay close to home? Are you even thinking about going a little bit far away? So yeah, just kind of shifting the perspective a little bit on those conversations that sometimes can be sticking points for families at home. This is just something helpful that we wanted to throw out to y'all. Okay, tops. Tops, tops, tops. We love tops. Here are the different levels of tops that your student may or may not qualify for. And you'll notice in the past there was only three levels, but this year they introduced a fourth level called the Excellence Award. So let's start from the bottom and work our way up. So the Opportunity Award, this is a 20 on the ACT. Notice it's a composite. It's not a super score. So that means that they're not super scoring and they're not giving, yeah, that opportunity for students to like say like, hey, like you took the ACT in September and this was your highest score then, and then this was your highest score in October in math, this is your highest score in December in um, reading. We're gonna make a new score for you and give you that super score. That's not what FAFSA or TOPS looks at. You have to get that score that you're aiming for. Um, in a composite, which just means you have to take the test and the score that you get on that test, that's your composite. It's not a sum of your highest or an average of your highest subscores. So anyway, ACT composite, that's going to be a 20 for the Opportunity Award and a 2.5 core GPA. Moving up to the Performance Award, 23 and a 3.25 core GPA, weighted GPA. Honors Award, that's going to be a 27 and a 3.5. So those are the requirements for those first three levels. Notice the award amount it varies for each school based on tuition and calendar. So how much you qualify for aid for the honors award, for example, at UL is going to be different than how much you would qualify for at LSU. If you're curious about those award amounts specifically, you can go to losfa.la.gov and they'll show you that breakdown. It's like a big PDF. And then finally moving up to our Excellence Award. So we have our ACT composite as a 31 and then a GPA as a 3.5. And so the award is either the award pays an annual amount equal to tuition and fees or $12,000, whichever is less. And then it will cover $8,500 for private institutions. So if your student qualifies for this, it's very, very helpful, of course. It's a much more significant amount than the other award levels, but yeah, Louisiana is incentivizing our high achieving students to stay in school. So that's what that's about. So again, in order to qualify for TOPS, you must complete the FAFSA. So those two words are linked or should be linked up in your mind. Okay, we are now going to move into a brief tutorial on score. So if you'll just give me 1 second. Okay, I just had to pause the recording for a brief moment to get to the score tutorial page. So yeah, here you're gonna see a home page. This is gonna be the parent side of score. So each of you are gonna have access to an account that we're gonna send out invites to after this recording is sent out. This is what it looks like. So it'll say good morning and then your name. You'll notice I'm on Miss Sandridge's parent profile just for the sake of demonstration. So here is where we're at. You're going to see your home page up here, um, inbox with uh, messages, and then your profile section up here at the top. What I want to direct your attention to is this portion right here. So you're going to see your student listed right here. If you have multiple students at St. Thomas More, then they're all going to be right here. But here's your student. So we can click this and it brings us to the parent view of the student. So of your student. Gives you some really, really great information that would maybe save you some trouble of having to ask your student different questions that might stress them out. So you'll see first here their information, then you'll see their GPA. So this is their updated GPA as it stands. So you'll see weighted GPA. This is going to be the core GPA, and then you're going to see their unweighted GPA. That's going to be their cumulative GPA. So we talked about those terms earlier. Here is going to be their most up-to-date ACT scores, assuming that they linked St. Thomas More to their ACT account whenever they registered, which most of them shouldn't. If they didn't, no big deal, we can help them. You're going to see their super score right here, which remember is the average of all of their highest subscores across all of the attempts that they had on the ACT. And then this is going to be their composite, their highest composite score. Okay. So here is all this information. You scroll down, you're going to see this next section, activities and achievements. This is a reflection of what colleges are going to be looking for on the activity list. So we mentioned that earlier. That's all the things that the student is involved in outside of academics. So clubs, activities, extracurriculars, leadership, service. Students can, and this is something that we work on in the application workshops, update their activity list in SCORE so that whenever the time comes for them to apply to college, it's simply a copy and paste situation because they've already begun this process of putting their activities in SCORE. So here's what that looks like. You continue to scroll down. You can see a student's college preferences, so they'll be given an opportunity to answer a brief questionnaire, what their academic focus is, what kind of colleges they're looking at, some distances and locations that they're looking at. And then scrolling down some to drive. This is something that we show the students anything and everything that they need in terms of resources for the college application process can be found in their drive, in their cloud. in SCORE. So here are the college counseling handbooks. Here are some scholarships and financial aid opportunities and information to read about. If a student needs help with their college essay, needs ACT and SAT prep, all this stuff. If a student is a student athlete, NCAA and NAIA stuff. So all of that is there for a student in SCORE. And so, yeah, we just wanted to give you guys this brief tutorial about what it looks like on the parent side. Um, Score, Score is a great tool, as we mentioned. So moving back to our presentation, getting close to wrapping up now. Um, Head spinning, right? So breaking it down into steps. Step one from this video, you're going to want to create that Score account. So again, I'm going to send out an invite link soon after this video is sent out. Two, within SCORE, you're going to fill out a parent college counseling survey. So if you remember a second ago, I mentioned the junior college counseling conferences that are those individualized meetings with me or Miss Sandridge to walk through the college application process. In order to secure one of those meetings, you, the parent, and your student each has to fill out a survey, and that is going to be found in SCORE. So that's there. That's step three. Have your student fill out the survey as well. Then you'll have one of those meetings with us. We can talk about breaking that college list down. Like, what are some schools you definitely want to apply to? What does the applications look like for those schools? And then what do you want to major in? And then we always say it's better sooner rather than later. Help your student register for the ACT. You may have heard about the announcement that the science portion is now optional for students. So, sort of our general recommendation is if a student is considering going into a science major, science, technology, math major, engineering, math major, a STEM major, we recommend taking the science at least one time. Important note that is, I know, confusing, but regardless of whether or not a student takes the science section, that is not a component of their super score or their composite score. Think of it like writing. It's just a supplemental score if a college wants to look at it. And then step six, visiting some colleges. So upcoming dates, again, just one more quick reminder, January through April, that's going to be the junior college counseling conferences, fill out the score surveys, visit some colleges, take the ACT. You can take it as soon as December. Uh, Important little note here, just to save you guys a little bit of money. Whenever you register to take the ACT, you are given the opportunity to send those scores to schools that you're interested in. You can send it to up to 3 schools for free. So do that, because if you wait to do it until after you get your scores back, it costs $20 each time you want to send your score somewhere. Question I get a lot is, well, Coach Ben, listen, if I am not sure what I'm going to get on the ACT and I'm not sure if I want to send my scores to LSU, like I shouldn't send them, right? The answer to that question is no, just send them anyway. Because if I'm a student and I'm applying to LSU and I decide at the end of the day, whenever I submit my application, that I want to go test optional, meaning I don't want LSU to look at my test scores, even if I had already sent my test scores to LSU, it will not attach those scores to my name whenever I apply if I select test optional. So there's no risk in sending your scores early. The big question that you're going to want to answer whenever you apply is if you're going test optional or not. That's the thing that links those scores to you. So it's just always better to save a couple bucks, send those scores to up to 3 schools that you're interested in. And then in the summer, you have those writing workshops and those application workshops coming up. Some resources for you guys. I showed you all some of these things in the SCORE drive. So college counseling handbook, the Moodle page. This really doesn't exist anymore, actually, since our cyber attack. This is going to be all in SCORE for y'all. The Louisiana Center for College Access and LALA, Louisiana Education on Loan Authority, are 2 state agencies that are helpful, especially whenever it comes to state funding. LOFSFA, that's the umbrella agency that TOPS falls under, and then the college essay guy, which we talk to our students about, is helpful tips and tricks to write a good and effective college essay. So I know that was a lot. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you made it all the way through the end, congrats. That's an achievement. Please feel free to reach out if there was anything that I said that wasn't clear or you'd like more clarification on. There's my email at the bottom left. As I said, Miss Sandridge will be back in January to help. So we're going to be tag teaming all of that at that point. And then also Miss Chrissy Romero, your grade level counselor for your student, is on the team as well to help make this process as easy as possible for y'all. So thank you. Be expecting some emails from me following the time this video is sent out to register for your SCORE account and filling out that survey, as well as a link to this recording. So thank you all so much. Have a good day.